All right,
Alrighty.
welcome back everyone to another episode of Flourish with Felicity. Today I have Charles Okpoko with us. Charles is a 28-year-old entrepreneur in online coaching, car rentals, and real estate. He is a former world champion powerlifter and amateur bodybuilder in classic physique, so you never want to mess with him. Charles was born in Nigeria, then went to college at the University of Texas, studying exercise science and pre-med. Then went back to school at the University of North Texas Health Science Center to become a doctor of physical therapy. He is currently in Dallas and is working as a physical therapist and juggling all of his other businesses. He loves playing sports, working out, traveling, food, and on top of all of that, watching some TV shows and
Gotcha.
movies. So welcome, Charles. Super excited to have you today,
Yeah.
and to get kind of into your life and how you got to where you were. You're doing some incredible things, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited for you having me on the podcast, kind of talk about my story and just kind of what I'm up to. So really honored that you thought I'll be a good person to kind of interview for this podcast. So I'm pretty excited to do this. Yeah.
I'm so excited to have you. Yeah, you have come so far, and I'm so excited to dive more into your story and learn more about you because your pursuits and the accolades that you've had and you're conquering thus far is just unbelievable. I can't even imagine where you're going to be in the next 10 years because you're already
Mhm.
crushing it at 28. So, can't
I
wait.
hope I hope I'm retired in 10 years. That's what, that's the plan.
I mean, at the path that you're currently on, you
Yeah,
might be.
yeah, no, that would be great.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Being a
Yeah,
38-year-old completely retired and just living out his best life. That would be
yeah.
fantastic. With that being said, kind of, I want to ask you, reflecting on your whole path and your journey all the way from Nigeria to Dallas and all of your academic pursuits along the way, what were some of the most significant challenges that you faced throughout that
Mm.
journey?
Okay. I mean, there's been multiple challenges for sure, and each one at kind of certain points in my life. If you want to look back to that transition from coming to to the U.S. from Nigeria, like that was a huge challenge. First of all, um, basically moving to a whole other country that you know basically nothing about, having to assimilate into the culture, get along with new people, learn a whole another system from what you were raised with. You know that can break some people, but we just I had to adapt, learn how to fit in, learn how things work over here, what you can say, what you can't say, like things like that. So that was definitely a huge adjustment. But I think that was definitely the first challenge I had to overcome is just just understanding how things work here and then being able to still apply myself and still excel over here. And then kind of past that, I would say maybe the next major milestone was just while in college, you're figuring out a lot of life in college, and I still don't have it all the way figured out yet. But there are different paths I could have taken back in college, especially because I was pre med at the time. So I was thinking I was gonna go to med school, have a nice, good, cushy job, as an MD, and just do that forever. But I had a lot of interest, a lot of I guess just internal conflict about if that was the right path for me. Just because all my interests at the time were kind of leading me more so towards fitness. That's when I started powerlifting, started coaching people, things like that. And I was like, man, I love this. Like this is so much more fun and more me than being in the hospital somewhere cutting people open. I was
Yeah,
like,
vastly different.
yeah. So literally, I did an internship. It was actually my senior year of college, at St. David's Medical Hospital in Austin, and I was like, man, I got to spend some time in the surgery center, and I was like, this is just not it for me. Like I can't do this. So sitting year of college, my family expects me to go to medical school, be a medical doctor, or stuff like that, and I'm like, yeah, you know what, guys? I'm like, yeah, no. It's like that's not it.
Huge change.
Yeah, so that was a huge hurdle having to overcome just external pressures,
Yeah.
and just kind of stick to my guns and stick to what I'm passionate about. And just try to basically just prove to them and myself that I was making the right decision.
Yeah.
So I went into the fitness industry, was doing my thing in powerlifting, finding success there, having that translate over to like my business as a coach and as a trainer and stuff like that. And then just again just overcoming that obstacle and just continuing to kind of push forward. And then like physical therapy school was I think like major obstacle. Like that's not an easy program to get into. But I was able to get in. I'm just giving you like a summarized version. I was able to get in, able to make it through. Not everybody makes it through physical therapy school. A lot of people drop out because it's a challenging program. But I was able to put my head down, focus on what I had to do, and came out on top as Dr. Okpoko. So I was like, oh, the checklist, get that in the books. And then even still, while doing that, I was like, okay, I want more. I was never one for the 9 to 5, I guess. I was like, okay, like I want freedom, like right away. How do I do that?
Hmm.
So then the only really ways to do that is to own your own things. Either you own a business or you're invested. So
Yeah.
again, another major, challenge I had to overcome was like basically giving up that cushy salary for okay, let's go grind, let's go hustle, and hope you make enough to pay your bills.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so that was a big challenge as well because again, external pressures, family, friends, whatever. It's like you sure you really want to do this? Do you want to abandon just like the job that's paying you all, blah blah blah, and like go risk it all. So again, sticking to my guns, pursuing my interests, pursuing my passions, things like that, and then I'm like making it work so far. So it's definitely been many challenges. Just kind of giving you a few of some of the big ones that I had to overcome right there. But really, it's just a matter of like I know what I want, I know why I want it. So until I get it, all steam, like full steam ahead. Like let's go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I do have a question. So, I mean, from the beginning,
Mhm.
just moving to a different country, you're obviously showing that you're a high risk taker. Like that is a huge risk to begin with. Like
Yeah.
it's just in your blood. It just
Yeah.
pumps through your veins. It's just
Hmm.
like take risk, go do the thing that you need to do,
Yeah.
which is so admirable. That's such an admirable trait that a lot of people have to just teach themselves to become a better risk taker and understand that like risk can provide great reward, and you're a living example of that.
Exactly.
Going back to the story with like you dropping out of, not dropping out necessarily, but changing your gears from working that job to then going into powerlifting and training, it sounds like there was some like friction there.
Oh, yeah.
How did your parents and how did your family take you doing that? Like what was their reaction?
Are you nuts? They're like, are you like what? So I mean, my family, we're a family of immigrants, so it's like you have that. I'm sure any immigrant you talk to, they'll tell you the story. The whole point of coming to America is the whole like live the American dream, land of opportunity, blah blah blah. But that only applies to a few jobs. That only applies to being a doctor, being a lawyer, being an engineer. That's about it.
Yeah.
Anything else, you're wasting your time.
Hmm.
So like literally all my siblings, and I'm the youngest of five. All my siblings are like basically in the medical field. So whenever I chose to walk a different path, they're like, okay, like what the hell are you doing? But yeah, so it was definitely not something that was widely supported.
Hmm.
However, they did support me.
Yeah.
But it just took some convincing. Basically, I just had to show that I was serious about what I was doing, and just really just show them that you can be just as successful doing something else as you can just working the typical traditional roles. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, that must have been really hard. And you're the youngest too, so you're the
Yeah.
rebel of the family
Yeah.
naturally as
Yeah.
well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're like, you know what? We're just going down a different path, and it's worked out
It is.
fantastic for you thus
It
far.
was.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. here. So I do have a question. I kind of want to dive into that a little bit further. I
Mhm.
know you said like you just had to kind of convince them and show them that you can do it. I have a few friends that also have immigrant families. They just came over to America to live out the American dream, exactly like what you're talking about. For those who are in the same situation that you were in, do you have any like tips on how to talk to your parents or even bring up these crazy ideas that were running through your head?
Yeah. Um, okay, I'm gonna focus on exactly the question. So tips on how to talk to them. I think it helps if you already have some proof of concept, right?
Mm,
If you
okay.
can visibly show them like, hey, look, this is what I've done. Here are the results. Here's the potential, right? If it's something that you haven't done before, you have no knowledge, no experience, it's definitely a harder pitch to sell.
Yeah.
Um, so I would definitely say, before you make the complete leap of faith, dip your toes a little bit. Apply yourself. Try to balance both worlds for as long as you can, and just again get some proof of concept. Show that there's a chance of success for whatever you want to do, and then and also show like I guess a log, right, of like just work that you put into that that idea, that business, that investment, whatever it is, so they can see that okay, like he's been able, he or she's been able to be consistent for X amount of time, and it's not just a hobby, it's not just something that's impulsive and spontaneous. Like you're actually serious about what you're doing. If they see that this is something that you want, you love, makes you happy to do it, and you can be successful, they're gonna support you. They're just like worried about you. They want you to succeed. So if you can show that that can happen, whatever it is, that it's an easier sell.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's
Mhm.
kind of like if you were selling someone on anything, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. It's like you have to have that proof and that like, hey, I've done this before, I can do it again. And
Exactly.
or I've done this and I can continue doing it. And showing that
Exactly.
consistency is huge cuz like
Mhm.
if you are passionate about it, your family is going to feel that.
Mhm.
They've been supporting you since the beginning. They just want,
Exactly.
like you said, the best for you.
Exactly.
Um no, I think those are great tips to I would say for honestly anybody who's listening
Hmm.
too. Like if you have this crazy idea and you in your like blood feel that it is right and you want to go down this path, utilize exactly what Charles just said and try to speak to your parents about it if you're finding that there is that friction there. That's exactly what I did with my entrepreneurial journey. I feel like, especially as an entrepreneur, you have to kind of get your family on board, even though they might be not as supportive in the beginning. It'll work out in the end, I promise.
Yeah.
Um, I kind of want to dive into because at the end of that, you were talking about like why you're doing this and what you want to do with this. So, what is that for you? Why are you doing all that you're doing? Because you could have
Okay.
stayed with the pre med and got a good chunk of change from there.
Yeah. So for me, it all comes down to like the why. Like I work backwards as far as how I process my thoughts and just what I do.
Hmm.
So, for example, I know how I want to live my life, and what type of lifestyle I want to have, what type of freedom I want in my life, and knowing that, I work backwards. I'm like, okay, what things, like what basically ways of making that happen are available to me, and which of those methods basically fits the lifestyle that I want to live, and basically doesn't have me compromising on like what I want, my passions, my happiness, things like that. I'm like, I'm not. You only get one life essentially, right? So I'm like, why spend it doing something I don't want to do, or doing something that somebody else wants me to do? At the end of the
Yeah,
day, like it's my life. I don't want to look back when I'm 80, 90, 100, whatever the case may be, and be like, damn, I should have did this.
yeah.
'Cause you don't get a do-over, right?
No,
So I'm like, I'd rather go in on what I want to do. If I fail, cool. I failed. I tried, right? But at the very least, I wouldn't have any regrets. I'm like, okay, yeah, I've done everything that I wanted to do. I've pursued every passion I wanted to do. So it's just really, it goes back to like my why. I want to do what I want when I want. And I want to be free financially and with my time. And the only way to really make that happen is, again, you got to own your own business. You got to invest. You have to be your own boss. Outside of that, it's not really possible. I hate hate having a request time off for work,
Yep.
so I can go do something that I want to do. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm a grown man. Like, I don't need your permission. So like just simple concepts like that, but it really things like that really drive me. So like so it just goes back to like, okay, I know what I want, what type of lifestyle I want to live. And I'm like, okay, how can I make it happen? If whatever I'm doing right now isn't gonna get me there, then I'm wasting my time. I'm just spinning my
Mhm.
wheels. So that's just kind of how I like that's my thought process. It's like where do I want to be, work backwards, figure out the the steps you can take to get there, and then just do it. It's really that simple. But I feel like a lot of people just kind of go through life not really knowing their why, or just kind of thinking really short term. And if you do that, you're gonna look back like, damn, time is gone. So yeah, nah, I reflect quite a bit just to make sure like I'm really working towards my goals and working towards the vision that I have for myself. So if it's not, if I'm doing something that's not leading me towards that, then I try to cut it off because that's just a waste of my time.
No, absolutely. You said a few really powerful things of like, you only get one life, you don't want to have any regrets. And I feel like in deep down, we kind of all have that inside of us. It's just a matter of the degree of how you feel it.
Hmm.
What was that turning point? Because obviously, in the beginning, you didn't feel that directly. Like, you've been a high risk taker, you kind of knew what you wanted in life. But what was there, like someone that you saw online? Was there a specific mentor? What changed that all for you? It made you just go off and do your own thing.
Yeah. Um, I guess the main pivotal moment was back in college. Whenever I had to make that decision between like medical school and
Mm-hmm.
pursuing my passions, right?
Mm-hmm.
That and that was like my junior year of college. That was a lot of reflecting. That was like me just thinking like, damn, like do I really want to do this? Like, what's my future look like if I go this route? Will I be happy? Like things like that. I was just doing a lot of reflecting back in college to kind of really help me decide. Because also at that point I had to decide. I didn't have a choice. That's
Yeah.
like because I was like, if I wanted to apply, get into medical school, I had to start applying at the end of my junior year. But I was sitting there like thinking about like my application, and I was like, why am I applying to medical school? Like, why am I doing this? And then like I didn't have a good answer. Like, could not really come up with not one answer besides maybe the financial benefits. But even with that, I knew I still wouldn't be happy necessarily, not the happiest I could be, right? So it was just it was just a very reflective period for me in my lifetime, and that kind of set the tone for like how I lived. I kind of just made the decision at that point that I'm not living my life for anybody else, not for my family, not for my friends, not for I could care less about your opinion. I'm like, what's my opinion of myself, and like, am I happy with what I'm doing? Because I'm not here to please you. Like, like no, I'm here to please like myself. Obviously, while doing the right thing, but like I'm like at the end of the day, I'm the one that's gonna sit there and like either regret it or be happy with my decision. So I'm like. Everybody else can go sit down somewhere else. Like I'm just, I'm just gonna pursue what makes me happy, and then if that can make me some money too along the way, great.
Heck yeah, absolutely, 100%. That's a great
Yeah,
way to look at it too. I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, we go through this a reflecting period, and it's like, I've always looked at it like, the whatever you're going down in college too. I also dropped out junior year of college, or I dropped out. I didn't ever complete it, or that was like the turning point in my, I guess, lifetime. Um, but if you're in something in life, or at least this is again how I look at it, but if you're in something in life and you're going down, you're studying for pre-med or whatever, and you look at the person in front of you that has done the thing in that industry, do you want to live like that person? And that's a really good determining factor of like,
yeah,
am I going to be happy? Exactly like what you said. Like, this was a point where you're like, is this going to really fulfill me? Is this going to be the thing that makes me happy in the long run? And you
yeah,
decided no. And
mhm,
now you're down this awesome avenue.
yeah,
But looking at the future self, kind of like what you were saying earlier about breaking it down, like, does the person, like, if you're in a job that you're thinking about possibly leaving, think about, does the owner or does the person ahead of you live the life that you want to live? If not, then it's probably not the industry or not the place that you need to
Yeah,
be.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really that simple. I feel like a lot of people also are scared to find out. They want to just kind of stay in like a delusional like mindset and like, oh, like, I think this is what I want. How about you just go find out, right? So for example, college is a great time to like go do mentorship,
Mhm.
internships, go have learning experiences, like stuff like that, right? So I'm like, if you think you want to do something, a job, a trade, whatever the case may be, go spend time with somebody doing that. Actually figure out what it's actually like, not like your opinion of what you think it may be like. Like, go find out the details and shadow multiple people, get different perspectives, right? So that way you can make a more informed decision as to whether or not this is the right thing for you. Because I feel like a lot of people don't do that. They just think, oh, this is going to be great. It's what I want to do without actually having any real world knowledge of what that actually is. And until it's too late, they're like, well, damn, I'm already doing this. I'm kind of stuck. So I guess I have to
Yeah.
follow through. So,
100%. I know
2 cents.
way too many people that are exactly that, where they're in a position where they just are, they're like, I imagine this to be something completely different than what it
Yep.
actually turned out to be.
Yeah.
And what I also like to tell people too, I mean, we're both young, so it's hard to say, but in the future, like it's never too late. Like you can be later down the line and
Yeah.
like realize this, and like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
never too late to change something in
Hmm.
life.
Yeah.
It only takes a few years to become really successful if you really have a passion for it and work hard at it,
Yeah.
which is really important to always remember. Like, it's never too late to do the thing you love. Just go out and do it. Take those
Exactly.
risks. Exactly
Yes.
what you did.
It just gets harder as you get older, and more set in your ways.
Mhm.
That's why for those that are, I guess, a little younger as well, you're gonna be as free as you're ever gonna be in your life wherever you're at right now. You're
Yeah.
not gonna get more time, right? As you get older, you're gonna get start having families, start having kids, start having obligations, start having this and that. You don't magically make more time. If you don't have time now, you're not gonna have time later. So if you want to take that risk, now is the time to do it. Because as you get older, like I said, you're just gonna have more things that you have to take care of. You might have a house, a car, like whatever the case may be. It's much harder to say, "Oh, I'm gonna quit my job and go do something else." If you have a $3,000 mortgage, you gotta pay every month or something like that. So while you're younger or whatever, that's the best time to take those risks because you can always bounce back later on. Because I know.
Yeah. 100%. A
Yeah.
100%. Time is the only thing that is going to be constant, like going down for you day by
Yeah.
day, second by second. It's the only thing that's inevitably going to, unfortunately, end for all of us. And it's like you have to use whatever you have left
Hmm.
of your lifespan to not have any regrets, like you were
Yep.
talking about,
Yep.
which is so true. I want to kind of talk to you about, I want you to share a moment with us about any self doubt or uncertainty you had during this period of time, because this is huge. And especially being an entrepreneur, I feel like there is a lot of times of self doubt and uncertainty where you just go through these periods and it's just like, what am I doing? Or like, why am I doing this? Or you're not making the money that you want.
Hmm.
Was there any periods where you were kind of stuck and you had that self doubt or uncertainty?
Oh yeah, that happens all the time. I don't think that ever really ends, to be honest.
No.
Because there's always, even after that's the thing, like after you accomplish something, you set new goals for yourself, or you see somebody else doing better than you, right? And we're
Mhm.
humans, we can't help it. We're like,
Yeah.
okay, shoot, if they can do it, I can do it. So it never ends. There's always doubts about, am I making the right decision? Am I, doing the best thing I could be doing right now? Those are invasive thoughts that always pop in. But you I mean, to be honest, if you're gonna work for yourself, be a business owner or things like that, you have to be resilient. You have to be able to kind of battle through those thoughts. You're gonna have them. You're human. There's nothing wrong with having them. It's just a matter of like, are you gonna let that hold you back and stop you, or are you gonna overcome it and just keep moving forward? It's really that simple. So it's like I don't like to complain. I don't like to make excuses. I'm gonna whine every now and then. Don't get me wrong, but I'm still gonna do what I gotta do to keep
Yeah,
going. So yeah, like those are normal things to feel. Yeah, but I was saying those are normal things to have, man. So you just battle those invasive thoughts, and treat it as what it is. It's just a thought. It's not reality. Assess your situation. Maybe look into your bank account, see what it's looking like. If you got some zeros in there, then all right, I'm doing good. Let's go.
exactly.
And let's keep moving forward.
No,
Yeah.
100%. And one thing that I really took I from a friend of mine who's also a pretty successful entrepreneur. He told me the other day it's not a big deal. And that really resonated with me because I feel like during our like entrepreneurial journey, you go through like what you said, a lot of it never ends.
Yep.
Self-doubt. It's like, am I doing this? Like, should I just get a 9 to 5? Should I just make my life easier? But it's the thrill of it and it's about the journey. And in the end, like what I said, it's not a big deal. Like you will figure it out one way or another. If
Mm-hmm.
you are naturally an entrepreneur, you are a problem solver. And if you have a
Exactly.
problem in your life, you're gonna freaking solve it.
Exactly.
So how do you feel about like the feeling of like it's not a big deal? Like you're gonna figure it out. Do you have those sort of moments where you're just like, I got this. I'm gonna figure it out one way or another.
That's a great way to put it because that's exactly my mindset all the time. I'm
Yeah.
not one to stress. I'm like, so funny thing here. It's a little side story here. So my middle name Osamburi Amen, and that's Nigerian. It means God stands for you, right? And I've literally applied that to my life. So whenever there's like problems, I'm like, God got me. We're good. We go figure it out. So like I don't stress. That's actually like one of my like biggest strengths is whenever
Yeah.
things pop up, I'm like, no biggie. Yeah, it'll work itself out, and it usually does. So like yeah, I'm just like, it might take a little bit of time, but at some point it will be taken care of. Like things are gonna always be fine as long as you just kind of keep moving forward. So yeah, that's basically summarizes my mindset most of the time.
That's so cool that you use your name to kind of drive you forward.
Yeah.
Um, I have to say I'm very much the same. So my first name means happiness. So I've always said like I drive to make others happy, make like my goal in life is to be happy and make others happy. My middle name is kind of similar to yours in a sense of meaning. My middle name is Faith. So having faith and just continuously doing what you're doing and I kind of utilize that as well. It's like a really great reminder just to
Mhm.
like keep pushing forward. Like it is in your name to keep doing this stuff.
Yeah.
God has your back. Like God is with you.
Yeah.
Um, Same exact concept, and it's just like keep going. Are you religious, or do you follow a faith?
So I'm Christian. I'm not super heavy on it, but it's because I also have a problem with like I also have a problem with religion and
Mm-hmm.
organized religion than
Yep.
actual God Himself. So yeah, but I grew up in a Christian household, so I still claim that I'm Christian for sure. Mhm.
Christian.
Mhm.
Yeah. I was just wondering because it's funny because I just filmed a podcast where we were diving into faith because I'm Christian as well. I'm not against necessarily, but I don't follow like the religious
Mhm.
aspect. It's more like the faith aspect when
Mhm.
it comes to Christianity.
Yeah.
So I'm right there with you. I was just
Yeah.
wondering to see if that's kind of driven anything inside of you, being a Christian
Mhm.
at all
I
in your
think that
journey.
definitely influenced me to like try to live a certain way. Like for
Yeah.
example, I think overall I'm a good person. And I would my friends and family would say the same things. I'm like, I'm not just spitballing here. But I think a lot of my good qualities do come from just the way I was raised.
Yeah.
Because for just like good Christian values. But at the same time, as you get older, you get out of the stage wherever you have to do those things, and it's more so like do I want to do this? You have to make those decisions for yourself. But I feel like just because of the way I grew up and just some of the values that we have in my family, I definitely embodied and adopted a lot of those values. And it's definitely shaped just the way I approach a lot of things and the way I handle a lot of situations. So, I think that definitely has played an impact.
Yeah.
I can't deny that for sure. So yeah, there's definitely things that have, influenced my decision just because I'm Christian, and just how I handle situations and how I make decisions about certain things. But it's to summarize, yeah, I'll say yeah, just summarize.
Yeah, it's definitely driven your values and shaped your values over
Mhm.
time, and it's just something that you like more so naturally apply
Yeah.
today rather than like following anything in particular. You're like, I was just raised like this, and this
Hmm.
is who I am. And yes,
Exactly.
it's based off of that.
Hmm.
Very cool, very cool. I know we were talking the other day, and you were telling me how you're kind of like a test dummy to all of your friends and family with
Yeah.
everything that you do.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, can you like recall throughout, well, actually kind of dive into that so that people understand kind of what I'm talking about when you said you're a test dummy
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
everything that you
Yeah.
do.
So like you were saying, I'm very entrepreneurial. And I'm again, like for example, for my siblings, I'm trying to focus on them for now. I'm the youngest out of five of them. They all have, either families, kids, all these responsibilities, yada yada yada. So they're not
Yeah,
really in a position to take some of the same risks that I can, right? But I did learn some of my entrepreneurial things from my older siblings because, for example, my sister, she owns real estate. So um, she buys property, she rents them out, long term, short term, whatever the case may be. One of my older brothers, he does basically the same thing. He does real estate. He does like stocks and other investments and stuff like that. So I picked up those things from my siblings. However, they go more so the traditional route, wherever they most of their time is on their 9 to 5. And then whatever little time outside of that, they, used to, invest in other businesses or, investments. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly fine. But for me being me and not wanting to compromise on anything, I was like, yeah, nah, I was like, it's a good way to go about it, but I'm like, but I want to take bigger risks. I was like, I want to just like YOLO and take like, throw a Hail Mary and see where I land. So I was like,
yeah,
yes, I could basically kind of follow y'all's footsteps, work my normal job, save up over time, and slowly get into the businesses and the investments. But I was like, nah, I want to do it the opposite way. I want the majority of my time to be spent on my businesses and my investments, and maybe working as a physical therapist will be like a small portion of my life. Because I was
hmm,
like, I don't want the 5-2 split essentially. I'm like, I want maybe a 2-5, or but that's actually not realistic because if you own your own business, you work 7-7. It's not.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not no days off. But anyways, like I was like, okay, I at the time anyways, I was like, I don't have any kids and I still don't. I was like, I don't have any kids, I'm not married, I don't have like, I don't have any huge mortgages, I don't have car notes. I can go back home and stay with my folks if I need to. So I was like, I can take those risks and be able to bounce back from it because I don't have as many external pressures to kind of keep following that path. So that being
yeah,
said, I was like, you know what? Because I'm in better position to take those risks. I want to take those risks, and then if I figure things out, either on the business side or on the investment side, and something that's lucrative or something that is profitable, I let them know. So
hmm,
like when it came to, for example, the car rental business, um, you know, I figured it out. I made a lot of mistakes, and I still make mistakes. But guess what? I take notes on my mistakes, and I let them know. I let my friends know. I was like, I've encouraged a few friends to also get into the car rental business, and I basically let them know, like, hey, these are the do's and don'ts. So all the things that I learned the hard way and lost a lot of money on, they don't have to, right? And that's just the beauty of just not necessarily learning by personal experience, but learning from other people's experience, right? So I'm okay taking those L's, taking those losses, because I can bounce back from it because I don't have as many other responsibilities that I have to handle, like kids and stuff like that. So they can't afford to lose it all. Essentially, they got mouths to feed. I can lose it all and still be okay because I have my older siblings, I have my parents, things like that. So like that's what I mean by like I'm the test dummy. Like I don't mind, taking the losses. And I don't mind sharing that with my friends, family, and just really anybody that wants to know and learn. Because I post on my social media. I'm like, hey, like, I basically kind of show like my life and, the wins, the losses. And people that are, inquisitive and want to learn, how to basically, do similar things. I share my experiences. Like, let them know, like, hey, do this, don't do this. So like, I don't mind doing that. I enjoy taking those risks. Not all the time. I'm sometimes like, oh God. But like, I'm perfectly fine with that. So whatever I learn, I just try to share it. And so because at the end of the day, I want everybody around me to succeed as well, not just me. There's no point
Yeah.
being at the top by yourself. It's lonely, right? So if you
Yeah.
can elevate those around you as well, and you can all basically elevate to a higher level together, then you will be able to by yourself. Because perfect example, if you wanted to buy like a $1 billion property, if you're the only person that has money, it's gonna be much harder as opposed to if you have friends and family that also have money, and you can buy a $10 million property, 20, 30, 40. So it's like you know, yes, I'm being selfless, but at the same time, it all comes full circle because those people will be able to
Yeah.
assist you and help you out as well whenever you need it. So it's just like, you give and you will receive. That's just kind of how life works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You just constantly pay it forward, you pay it to the
Yeah.
next person, and when they come back around, hopefully they'll do the same when they're teaching someone else. And it's kind of like a butterfly effect.
Yeah.
It just keeps going and going, and the people around you will just elevate with you, which is such the feeling that you get when someone comes back to you with a sense of gratitude for what you taught them.
Hmm.
It is such a rewarding feeling.
Yes.
No price can ever pay that.
I agree. That's true.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
the sense I get a lot from whenever I coach people as well. Because
Mhm.
again, I've done it all. I mean, training for 18 years, I've made all the mistakes, had all the injuries. So if I can help at least one person, navigate around that and get better results, and they're like, dude, like this helped so much. Like I'm like, I was able to accomplish my goal. Like I'm like, yes.
Such
I'm
a
like, this
rewarding
feels
feeling.
great. I'm like, so glad this worked. So I love that feeling as well. It's the best.
It brings so much happiness, and
It does.
that's kind of what you're. I mean, obviously you're on going for the monetary value, but that also brings the happiness that you're looking for as well, which is
Exactly.
fantastic as
Exactly.
all in all.
Hmm.
I have a question for you pertaining because I know we've been talking a lot about everything that you're doing and how you're kind of getting there and like some things that you've gone through. But is there any specific challenges or setbacks that you've come across in your journey thus far?
Hmm.
Can you kind of touch on that and explain to us some failures that you've kind of felt or have been through?
Okay. Let's see. Because there's many failures. That's part of the process.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
I guess specific one. Let me think of a good one. Okay, I guess I can focus on my car rental business, for example.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so okay. So yeah, so again, starting any business, there's gonna be again lots of challenges, lots of figuring shit out. Oh, sorry, figuring things out.
No, you can swear. It's okay.
Okay. Um, so like for example, whenever I got started with the car rental business, I guess I try to grow too fast, too soon, and I've done this in actually a good amount of my other businesses as well. Wherever again, being a risk taker that I am, I'm like, it'll work out, it'll work out. So like for example, I end up trying to scale too fast, and without really just kind of going over the books as in depth as I should have. So essentially, ended up basically just buying a lot of cars that racked up a lot of debts just due to like maintenance. Because for example, with the car rental business, you make money whenever you buy the car and whenever you sell the car, just like with real estate, you have to buy it at the right price and you have to sell it at the right price. So essentially, with some of the cars that I bought a little older vehicles because it's a cheaper price point, thinking I'll be able to pay it off, within a year or so. However, again, if you buy a little older, a little more mileage on them, a little more wear and tear, and just kind of ran into a lot of just maintenance and upkeep expenses that I really didn't plan for. So like you know I set certain goals as far as like, okay, when to have these cars paid off, so I can basically start to um, you know so I can basically kind of, I had other plans essentially for the money I was going to be making from the business. But with all the unplanned maintenance that I had to deal with just from the older vehicles, I was way behind on my goals as far as like what I needed to be making to make those purchases make sense. So like I was going through my my books, and I was like, dang, I was like, and this is like actually at the end of last year, I was looking through my expenses, looking through the revenue. I was like, I spent so much money buying more cars and fixing cars that I was like, if I had just kept my one or two cars that I just started with, actually, no, if I just kept my one car that I started off with, that was a little less, that was a little better maintained, a little less mileage, I would have basically made more money actually without all the extra work of the six, seven more cars that I bought that ended up making no money at the end of the year because of all the money I spent into like buying the cars and then also maintaining and like upkeeping those cars. So like that
Hmm.
was upsetting because I'm like, you would think, or at least I had in mind, like, more cars, more money, that's how we do, right? But it just ended up being like just more cars, more work, more headaches, and literally no money. I was like, golly, I was like, basically only making just a small profit with all the work that I put into it. I was like, I would have probably made just as much, maybe even a little more, just having the one car and having no maintenance. As opposed to
Yeah.
like me trying to scale too fast and buying cars I probably shouldn't have bought, for example. And then basically kind of rolling the dice as opposed to making a more informed decision. So I guess one of the things just to kind of bring it full circle was like, if you're going to scale a business, you know, be patient, right? Because I'm definitely guilty of this myself, but everybody wants results now, now, now. Same thing with fitness and the same thing with health, whatever, right? It's like I want it and I want it now. But faster isn't always better, essentially. So I think if I had just kind of stepped on the brakes a little bit, I had just taken a more conservative approach because I didn't have to take those risks, right? I chose to take those risks, just wanting to, just speed things up a little bit faster. But, not all risk is good risk. So you have to really just be, be, I guess, be, what's the word I'm looking for?
Mindful,
Be
kind of.
mindful, yeah. Be realistic as far as with your risk tolerance and like, and just make sure that, you're not trying to do too much too fast. And that actually segues into another good point. I'm just gonna be quick about it.
Of
Um,
course.
if you're gonna choose to do any business or investment or whatever, like try to just pick one and stick to one. Um, I'm guilty of this. Um, I'm like shiny object syndrome. You know, I get on one thing, I'm like, oh, this I see the benefits. Let's get after it. Let's do it. And I go ham on that, and then I'm like, ooh, I just found out about this because also I'm always networking with people. I'm always learning from people. I'm always reading things, watching things. Unfortunately, that can bring a lot of external influences to make you want to try something. Um, and it could be good. It could be, something that would end up being profitable. But like, if you already kind of have your plate full on one thing, don't add more things to the plate. The plate didn't get any bigger. You just made it more packed. So I think it can be a lot more successful just picking one thing and just committing to it, and actually just allowing yourself to fully master that thing than to try to do too many things and then just kind of trying to be a jack of all trades and just kind of being a master of none. So I think for sure one of the big mistakes that I've made is or two of the big mistakes that I made was trying to one skill too fast and taking unnecessary risks, and two trying to do too many things at the same time and not really allowing myself time to really focus on the things that I need to do and skill them first before adding another piece to the equation. So those are
Yeah.
two of the big takeaways when it comes to business that I've experienced so far. If that answers your question.
No, yeah, those are perfect too. Because I feel like a lot of us, I mean, like I know I definitely could resonate with those as well, where you jump into something and then you want it fast, you want it now,
Mhm.
and then it kind of doesn't give you that immediately because hint hint business takes time, like you said, time and patience.
Yep. Yep.
And then we have shiny object syndrome because we see this new next best thing,
Mhm.
not realizing that also is going to take time to learn.
Exactly.
I know you brought up stocks. I've dabbled into that before, and it takes time to learn the skills that it takes to start trading.
Yeah.
And you have to learn those things. Was there anything in particular that you jumped in too fast where you had to like put down to the side at all that you're not doing currently?
That I'm not doing currently. No, I'm still managing everything.
Everything. Look at you.
So again, there's definitely a lot that I jumped into that I could have been more I could have paced myself a little bit better. But also one thing about me, I don't quit. And although there's probably some things I'll probably benefit from quitting and just like pushing out to the side for a bit. But I've definitely kind of I've definitely spent seasons prioritizing one business over another. So I will say that it's not full tilt on every single business.
Hmm.
So I will say I haven't dropped anything altogether, but I've definitely gone through seasons wherever I'm like, okay, in this
Yeah.
season, this is my main focus. This is where I need to pour most of my energy and my time into. And then once that kind of stabilizes, then I can focus on the next, major fire, right? I'm like, okay, let me
Yeah.
let me handle this, get this where it needs to be. And so I've been kind of I've been kind of just going about it like that, but I haven't given up on anything just yet when it comes to the businesses because it's just not in my nature. Because again, like it's one of the things because I read a little bit too, and also just some other investors have said this too. Like all it takes is just one, um, basically just one success to make up for all the mistakes, right? So whenever I think about like quitting on something, I'm like I might have been like one step away from being successful, right? It might have been the next day of trying that gets me to like where I want to be. So like whenever I think of things like that, it discourages me from giving up on something, especially if I know there's a potential for it to be successful and be profitable. Then I basically kind of accepted it as just a matter of time, right?
Hmm.
So I keep trying to manage as best I can, and I network with other people. I hire people if I need to do certain things that I can't do. I don't have the time to. You gotta learn to delegate, folks, especially when I run multiple businesses. But yeah, like I haven't given up on anything. It's just I'm like it's just gonna take some time for certain things, and everything like works on different timetables. So you might want it now. I don't mean it's gonna happen now, but just be patient. Keep doing the little things day by day, and one day you're gonna wake up and boom, you got it.
Yeah, man.
So yeah.
It's that growth curve. I know I've listened to Jordan Peterson and a bunch of other like big people in the entrepreneurial space, I would say, like Alex Hermosi, but they always bring up this curve where it's like at the beginning, it's just like flat and
Mhm.
you might see a little increase, but then all of a sudden, like you said, the next day, whatever the case may be, it goes directly upwards.
Mhm.
And that is every entrepreneurial journey like known to man
Yep.
pretty much.
Yep.
You just got to keep trying and keep trying. And you brought up a really good point that also ties into this is like you might be there like the next day, you
Mhm.
never know.
Mhm.
You never know. You might be one step away, one click away
Mhm.
nowadays because we're online a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And it could be, it's, I always think of like that little like picture where it's like the guy who like gives up
Mhm.
like literally one hit before a whole diamond mine. And then
Yeah.
there's one guy that's constantly going through
Yeah.
every single time where I feel like I'm like giving up, just like how you feel. I think of that photo and
Mhm.
it just drives me to the next day and just
Exactly.
the next step because you never
Exactly.
know.
You
You never
don't.
know.
You don't. And I don't want to
Hmm.
look back and be like, damn, I should have kept going. So for that
Yeah.
reason alone, I'm like, nah, I'm not quitting. Because at the end of the day, I got into it because I know I want it to succeed. If I
Yeah.
stop, it's more so a matter of me, it's more so a matter of me giving up on the process as opposed to as opposed to like the business not being successful or as opposed to me not wanting to do it. Because it's a matter of like if it was making X amount of money right now, I would definitely keep doing it. But but it basically, okay, so I'll put it like this: when it comes to ever like quitting something or dropping something, if I don't enjoy it, I'm not passionate about it, and I just, I don't really love it, then you can drop that, because at that point,
Yeah.
again, it doesn't, it wouldn't be fulfilling like my whole like mantra of like I do what I want when I want, because I love it, or like do what you love. So that's the only case or circumstance where I can see myself like stopping something, just because I know it's not really giving me the fulfillment that I want. And even if it was successful, it'll just more so be a trap, something that I really don't love.
Hmm.
But if it's something that I actually enjoy, and I actually, would be happy doing it, then yeah, I keep going. It's gonna happen. If not today, it might be tomorrow. It's just like that. Yeah.
No, absolutely. It's also kind of playing into like the if like when you become an entrepreneur, you're doing something that you love and that you
Mhm,
would do for free.
mhm,
So if you can do something and you love it enough where you would do it for free for X amount of years, you'll then reap the benefits when you have that growth curve go upwards and be in a positive wherever your goals are, monetary, whatever it is. I feel like a lot of our goals nowadays are kind of wrapped around our financials,
yeah.
but because that's what we need to live life and get to where we
Exactly.
want to be. But like what you said, like you have a passion for every single thing you do. And I love how you talked about like the seasons that you're in and you're like, I'm in this season right now.
Mhm,
Now I'm in this season.
mhm,
And like, yeah, you manage the other stuff, but it's not like your
mhm.
like the top of your priorities
Yeah.
list, which is really cool. And it's kind of like a way that I feel like if you are managing multiple different things is a very good way to manage it because you're going to have passions that kind of pop up throughout a year's frame or 2 years frame. And if you can just kind of delegate a season to it, and whenever you feel like it's either kind of going under and you're like, I need to dedicate a lot of my time to that, that is then your season to then grow it up to stabilize it, like you said,
Yeah.
which is huge.
Hmm.
I know you also brought up the idea of networking,
Hmm.
and how you're like, I network amongst everything that you're doing and managing. How do you prioritize like your networking, your social life in general? Um, and how does that like also wrap around into like your overall well-being on the day to day? Because I know we're social creatures, we need that interaction.
Yeah.
But kind of go into that for me.
Yeah. So, how I manage my networking. So nowadays it's a lot easier because you can just do it over a video call, just like we're doing. You can have a phone call with somebody. You don't have to go face to face like you had to in the past. So it doesn't take as much time. It can be a quick 15-minute call, 30-minute call. Figure out, get to learn, and basically get to date the person essentially, and see what they're about, and they get to know what you're about, and then see if it's somebody that you would potentially want to have in your life, either as a friend, business partner, whatever the case may be, right? So I just squeeze time wherever I can. So like obviously I kind of live off of my calendar. So whenever there's little pockets of time, I'll make those appointments in those little pockets. But I just know that that's part of the game. That's part of being successful in any business. You have to network with people. So
Yeah.
it's not optional essentially. So whenever you kind of approach it that way, you're gonna make time.
Yeah.
You have to sleep, right? So you make time to sleep. So same thing. If when it comes to networking, it's a necessity. So you're gonna make time, because if you don't do that, you're not gonna succeed, and that's just the truth. So that's kind of how I handle the networking side of things. On the social side, I'm definitely not as social as I was whenever I didn't have these goals, and so because you got to prioritize your time. You only have so much time. So unless something is unless it's something really important, like um, a wedding, a birthday, something like that, I usually don't have time. And that's okay. You know, but I don't miss important things. That's my golden rule.
Mhm.
If somebody wants me to be somewhere for something special in their life, or just, yeah, just something important to them, and they want to share that experience with me, oh, it's a no-brainer. It's already a yes. They just have to, I'm like, tell me when and where. It's really that simple. And that's one of the things I love about being an entrepreneur is, like, I control my, like, I feel like yes, I am very busy. However, I control my time, right? I control my schedule. if something's important to me, like my friends and family are, I'm gonna always make time for them. You
Absolutely.
know, so it's really just that simple. I'm not so when it comes to like so being social, it's more so quality over quantity at this point. I'm not
Mhm.
just like I'm not hanging out with the boys, just playing video games and like just watching TV, like going to the club, going to the bars. I'm like I ain't got time for that.
No.
That's not gonna make me happy in the long run. That's not what I need to be doing with my time. There was a time in my life where I had time to do those things, but now I don't even want to. I'm like, look, man, I got things to do. That was just more so like, hey, man, I'm all for hanging out with my friends and my family and being social, but like, it needs to be important or it needs to be just like something that's much needed. Let's say I haven't seen somebody in a long time, and they're like, hey, man, I miss you. Like, let's catch up. When and where. It's really that simple.
Yeah.
And then as far as my mental well being, yeah, like I'm good because like I said, like I still I work hard, but I play hard. If I want to, I travel like every month, multiple times a month sometimes. Seeing going to destinations I've always wanted to go to, seeing friends, seeing family, like literally when and where. Like just let me know, and I'm there.
And I'll be
Oh yeah.
there.
So I feel like I have a pretty good balance. Yes, I work a lot, but it doesn't. I enjoy it because, like, it's things I'm passionate about. It's like all my businesses are like my babies. I'm like raising kids, so like spending time with them on my businesses. It's not really work. It's I want to do that.
Yeah.
So like that's I'm mental well being. I'm like I'm good, man. Yes, there's stressful days. That's part of it, but you know that's part of the process.
Absolutely.
Higher, the basically the more responsibilities you kind of take on yourself, the greater your earning potential. Nothing worthwhile that's actually valuable in life that's actually gonna get you paid is low risk, low effort. So like if you want to be successful, you're gonna have to be comfortable with things like that. Now it's not for everybody, obviously, because you could just do the normal, the usual, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just know for me that doesn't work for me. That doesn't make me happy or give me fulfillment. So again, with me, I don't stress. So stuff like that other people might find stressful because like if I talk to my friends and family about like my day to day and some of the things I got to deal with, they're like, oh my God. They're like, how you not stressed? I'm like, nah. I'm like, I just tell them my middle name. I'm like, we're good. I'm not stressing. So like stuff like that. I'm like, I'm comfortable with that. I'm a problem solver. So like whenever things pop up, I'm like, there's a solution. I just go find a solution and just keep it pushing. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. There's few really good points that you brought up there with. I want to start off with the networking because that was the first thing you brought up. And you were like, you said you fill those little pockets of time with networking.
Hmm.
And one thing that I was taught from a very young age, it's not what you know, it's who
Ooh.
you know. And it is so true because you never know who that person knows, and that person could help you. It's not directly just this person you're speaking to. Yes, they can provide so much benefit into your life, but it's who they know as well. And it's that butterfly effect that they might bring someone into your life that can completely change the entire trajectory and where you are currently and teach you something that
Exactly.
can be a catalyst in your life,
Exactly.
which is huge
Hmm.
for sure.
Yep.
Um, and then I want to bring up with like the social life as well, because I think it's really funny that you brought it up with how you're like, I'm never going to just be like chill with the boys and like playing video games. Because after a while, when you become an entrepreneur, those things don't really matter. Yeah, it's fun, whatever, but that's not what matters anymore. It's
Yeah.
nurturing and like spending time with your essential babies, your
Mhm.
businesses,
Yeah.
growing those because you know in the long run that's going to be what benefits you, not just the Saturday night hanging
Yeah.
out at the bar with the boys.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really funny thing that you brought up, just because I feel like that's a huge change in the mindset of an entrepreneur when you start to get into the depths of it,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, I actually really like my businesses, and it doesn't feel like work when you're doing it either because you love it so much. It's a passion. It's like a hobby.
Hmm.
You're like, I just get to do my hobbies all day. Like
Yeah. Exactly.
that's why I spend so much time on them. But
Exactly.
it brings happiness in the long run, which is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
definitely a mental shift because um, I was definitely one that, and I'm a huge extrovert. I'm very social. But actually, well, I
Yeah.
have two sides of a coin. Whenever I'm out and about, I'm a huge extrovert. But I love to be left alone to just focus on like myself and just me time. That way I
Yeah.
get to focus on, the things I'm truly passionate about, things I enjoy, without having to cater to other people or having to deal with other people. So I'm definitely two sides of a coin. But nowadays, the introverted side wins most of the time because I'm like, I got things to do. So like I need me time so I can focus on those things.
Yeah.
And then also whenever I'm not working on my me time, I just want to watch, like Netflix or whatever. I just want to chill because like I'm doing so much all the time that I just want to disconnect. I just want time to myself.
Yeah.
So the social battery isn't as big as it used to be. It's still there, but now it's just like in more so limited chunks, like limited uses. So it's like before I could go all the time, but now I'm like, nah, I need time to relax because I'm like I already do too much every day.
No, absolutely. It's funny that you say that. I like to call it an introverted extrovert
Yeah,
because you have this introverted side to you, but also an extroverted side where you're like, I love to
yeah,
socialize because that's innate in our human nature.
yeah.
Like we love to talk to people, but internally you're just like, people are draining.
At times, yeah,
I need time for myself.
exactly.
Um, but to kind of wrap all of this up, because we talked about so many incredible things today, what is one thing that you want to leave with the viewers to take and put into their life to help be a catalyst
Mm-hmm.
in growing them?
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's tough.
It's a deep
That's a
question.
deep question. Yeah. One thing. Oh man, I feel like I've already touched on it, but like, really think about your why. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like people wander through life, not knowing their purpose, not knowing what they want to do. And I'm not saying I have it all figured out because I definitely don't, but I think about it, right? I try to live with purpose, because you're also gonna get more out of it. Like you're gonna actually feel more fulfilled whenever you're actually living with purpose, as opposed to just kind of wander around like mindlessly or aimlessly. So like when it comes to like my takeaway, I'm definitely like, okay, think about, hey man, like why am I here? You know, like what's my purpose? What am I here to do? Like, am I here to serve or who am I here to serve? Right? Yeah, I feel like it's important to figure out what that is, and think about what am I good at? What are my strengths? How can I provide value to other people and to the world? Because you're gonna feel a lot more fulfilled doing the things that you're good at and actually being able to serve people with that. It feels amazing. Like it feels great to really kind of just figure out what your strengths are, be like really reflect on that, and provide a service or a product that people will benefit from. So like yeah, like spend time just being more reflective, and actually living with purpose. Because at the end of the day, like you only get one life, so just make it be meaningful. Like whenever I die, I want to be remembered for something. I don't need to be remembered by everybody, but I definitely want to leave an impact on my family. Either I create a generational wealth for my family, or friends, whatever the case may be. I don't want to, I want to be remembered for something. So,
Yeah.
and then maybe not everybody has that, but I do. So, like that's I think about my whys, and that really pushes me to get through all the baggage that pops up every now and then, because I want to have no regrets whenever I look back. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. I 100% agree. You really have to sit on your why and figure it out. It's not an easy question
No.
either to figure it out. You have to really sit in on it and reflect and then come back to the drawing board and reflect on it again. And it will
Mhm.
change throughout the years too.
Yes.
But you really have to think about it right now, and is the thing that you're doing driving you to fulfill that why?
Mhm.
If not, you might want to oh my gosh, I can't think of the word. Like what's the word I'm thinking?
Like reevaluate or like
Reevaluate.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
You want to really reevaluate where you are and be able to then navigate that so you can start pursuing that
yeah,
for your
yeah.
lifelong goals. No, I think that's a huge and very powerful thing to leave off on. Thank you so very much, Charles. This was an amazing discussion. I appreciate you so much for hopping on the podcast,
All right.
and being able to share everything that you've kind of gone through and all of the moments and how you've gotten out of that. And hopefully, it'll help someone in whatever state they're in
Yeah.
make a change
Yeah.
and make one step forward to their goals.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This has definitely been a blast. I love talking, as you can tell. Um, so like any opportunity I get to kind of just share my story and really help other people as well. It really gives me a lot of joy to do that. And just thank you for giving me another platform to be able to do so. So
Absolutely.
look at that.
Anytime,
Yeah,
anytime.
thanks.
Thank you very much.